Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. It's Murph, and it is the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Eric King, and we are live with Horizon IndyCar League action from CHICAGOLAND. Currently defunct, maybe not defunct much longer, Ryan. They're going to bring the stock cars back here. They need to bring the Indy cars back here, too. This is one fabulous place to watch a motor race, and we're going to have a good one tonight here in the Sim.
It's going to be a fast one. By the looks of practice, it is going to be a pack race. It'll be interesting to see how people navigate this place in traffic and keep their tires under them.
Most certainly so. Do want to welcome in Paula Scory. And if Paula's here, that means that one of the best oval racers in the business, Kyle Clinworth, is going to be gracing us with his presence this evening. Clindy on the grid. He's only run in the road courses this year. He is going to be in for an oval tonight at Chicago. We are in qualifying trim, and without much further ado, we're going to wait and see if we can find a driver to jump on with for qualifying. And now let's take a look at Mark Cohn here. There's Mark. Now he's on his first lap here, Ryan. And it's pretty simple here at Chicagoland. First lap's a throwaway, run it high, and then absolutely run that thing right around the bottom all the way around on your quick one.
Yeah, and the tricky part typically is running the apron at the start and end of the lap because it is very slippery down there.
It most certainly is, and that's something that you might be able to see from the onboard shot is the transition. As you get down to the apron, you have to cut it. But getting back onto the racetrack, getting off the racing surface and down onto that apron, Ryan, isn't so bad. But you kind of see the bobbling Cohn's hands there. That tells you all you need to know. If you don't hit that transition right, getting back up onto the banking, it will turn that car loose in a hurry. Mark Cohn
Yep, Cohn's time.
Yeah, Cohn, 217.671, and that is a fast one. He'll jump up to the top of the early leaderboard. We're watching Clindy as he warms his machine up. Clindy is going to take a bit of a different approach. Very slow on his outlap, Ryan.
Yeah, he wants to keep his car as cool as possible.
Wants to keep those tires as cool as possible. And there goes Clindy. He's actually not going to hit the gas until he gets to the start-finish line to begin his first of two laps. And he'll run that first lap right up against the wall, Ryan.
Yeah, you want to build momentum. Get your speed up as high as possible for that second lap.
You most certainly do. And there you are, riding out of his right eyeball with Kyle Clinworth. He'll bring it right down to the bottom. And again, watch this transition. See how his hands didn't move there, Ryan? There's about a 10-foot window there where you don't turn the car loose. And Clindy did a masterful job getting onto the banking of the front straightaway without setting the car loose. He's also wrapped all the way around the bottom down the backstretch. This is going to be a fast lap, Ryan.
Oh, buddy.
219.384. That is a hot one, brother.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for anyone to beat today.
I don't think there's many guys out there with that kind of speed. We'll take a look at Lith Fox. Lith running around here, and Lith is doing the same thing right around the bottom. That's important here, Ryan, because although this track is very much a we're gonna call it a fraternal twin of Kansas Speedway, there are some differences, aren't there?
Yep, that curved back straight.
Most certainly is. The backstretch here, the back straightaway is not straight. It is slightly curved, and you can kind of see it's almost bowed. Still the same 1.5 mile length, exactly 1.5 miles. But Ryan, the backstretch is curved. It is a little bit more steeply banked than Kansas. It does not have the variable banking that Kansas does. 18 degrees in the turns, 11 degrees of banking on the front, and 5 degrees on the back. There are no straightaways at this course. It is entirely, as Ryan mentioned, a curve, and that is reminiscent of the big left, the big O, Langhorne. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the track's history as we go tonight. But we do have a grid ready, and on the pole, it's going to be Kyle Clinworth. Clindy, 219.3844 miles an hour. Mason Mitchum will be to his outside. Gary Lovren, Frank Wynn are going to start row 2. Matty Wagner, Lith Fox, row 3. Turner Johnson, Alex Miller, Yari Brubaker, and Will Stearns. They're going to round out your top 10. In 11th, it's going to be Eric Peterson. He'll start next to Mark Cohn. We watch Cohn's qualifying run. Matthias Marcamini will be 13th. Nate Fields, 14th. Andrew Surwack, the slowest of the qualifiers, in 15th. And then Luis Busa, Joseph Morales, and VH Carr will round out the starting field. Busa, Morales, and Carr did not take time, Ryan.
Yeah, this would not be the round I'd decide to not take time, because starting in the back in a pack race is a tough task if you want to win.
Most certainly so. They are absolutely flying out here. To give you an idea of how fast they're going, Clindy's lap 25.083 is about half a second slower than Buddy Rice's outright track record. That was set 24.4216 miles an hour in 2002 in the IR02. Now keep in mind, that was with the 4-liter normally aspirated V8s. Critically, that was during an engine war in those cars, and the other bit was that Buddy Rice's lap was set in the draft, Ryan.
Oh, wow.
I was at that race, believe it or not. Used to love coming up to Chicagoland. It was I had some friends that lived in Chicago, and it was not a bad jaunt over to Chicagoland from University there at Ball State in Muncie, Indiana, and so we went to just about all of the IndyCar races there. Just a quick little drive. The tickets were not hard to come by. Of course, it was always sold out here, Ryan, but that was because back in the day, you had to buy the NASCAR to get NASCAR tickets. You had to buy a PSL, and so you got tickets to the IndyCar race whether you won or not, and you could pick them up on the secondary market for rather inexpensive. In later years, after the personal seat license situation ended, Marlboro was handy at giving away tickets. I think one year we were guests of Philip Morris, which was a fun time. This is not, by the way, the only IndyCar track in Chicagoland, is it, Rec?
No, there is the now defunct Chicago Motor Speedway.
It most certainly is. If you want to get a good look at the Chicago Motor Speedway, you can go have a look at the movie Driven, which is Ryan Eric King's favorite IndyCar movie. As we get ready to
you put that on me.
as we get ready to go to the green flag, Kyle Clinworth leads them away, and we are underway here at Chicago. And there goes Clindy, leading him down into turns number 1 and 2. Gary Lovren second, Mason Mitchum third. The two Votive Racing League cars are going to fall in positions 2 and 3. The Rogue Racing entry of Clindy leads him. Now you'll see the VRL logos on the front 3 cars. Clindy is not a teammate of either Lovren or Mason Mitchum. That is a sponsored entry from the VRL, and so just kind of be aware of that. They are painted similarly, but they are not teammates. Matty Wagner looks to do battle. He's to the outside of Mason Mitchum, and already, Ryan, they are 3 wide, several rows deep here. This is kind of what we expect to see, at least in the early going. It's going to get packy.
Yeah, it's going to get packy. It tends to thin out once we get deeper into the runs. The tires heat up, and you can't really hold the lines you want to anymore.
No, you most certainly can't. This track was actually featured in the Sim Gaming Expo that I took part in. 3 wide for third. Mason Mitchum on the bottom. Wags in the middle. Will Stearns up top. Wags will back out of that. Stearns, Grandpa coming to the front. Will Stearns has made it up to 4th spot now, and he's looking for more on Mason Mitchum. But to go back to that, what we learned at that Sim Gaming Expo, in those Sim Gaming Expo races, is that much like Kansas now, Ryan, the tires fall off here, and they can fall off not in a hurry. It takes about 15, 20 laps. But when they do, this is going to get strung out fairly quickly. We'll jump on board Matty Wagner as he runs along in 4th. Now, he's on the bottom, but you can tell he's lifting in there, Ryan.
Yeah, you want to do what you can early on to save your tires so you can last longer running the preferred line. You don't want to be sliding up on corner exit, especially if someone's on your outside.
And that is kind of the strategy here, Ryan. You can roll the bottom. It's kind of like Texas in that way, or Kansas. You can roll the bottom, save your stuff, or you can go fast. You can be up top. But, buddy, if you get on that top line and you start passing cars like we've seen Will Stearns and Jari Brubaker do early, you are going to burn those tires up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and it's really hard to cool the tires off. Cool the tires off once you reach that tipping point where you start sliding up the track. It's best to not get there in the first place.
That is absolutely right. Now, I do want to point out, we'll take a look at Jari Brubaker. These drivers do have some way to, they do have ways to understand what their tires are doing. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the steering wheel as we ride on board Jari Brubaker, it reads 200, 200, 210, 210, and that's because as spectators, you do not have access to the competitors' steering wheels for obvious reasons, right? You don't, you shouldn't be able to look and see what your competitors have on their weight jackers, anti-roll bars, and so forth. But these drivers do have live tire temperatures in these cars, and so you can manage tire wear in that way. You know if they're getting hot. Other than the obvious loss of grip, Ryan, you also know when they're getting hot and know when to back off or maybe save a corner if you can.
Yeah, and it's always great to have the data, but there is a certain degree of you can't be reactive to the data, because if you are, you're probably a step behind the game at that point.
You are 100% correct as normal. Do want to point out that there is a championship to be raced for here tonight. We do have 2 more races after this. Iowa, November the 5th, so next week. And then in 3 weeks' time, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway will be the finale. Alex Miller right now leads this championship by 70 points over Hugo Gallas, 77 over Matt Wagner. Gallas is not here. And so Matty Wagner will move up into 2nd place in the points. Alex Miller is in the field. He runs along in 6th. And there's Alex. He's driving it to the high side of Jari Brubaker.
Yeah, up to the high side of Brubaker, and it was weird early on where we had Clenworth in the lead, and then one car behind him, then the pack. Slowly, the pack is starting to fade away, but they're closing up to our leaders.
Yeah, the pack has kind of gotten single filed out now as you've seen the tires get hot. And, the grip levels start to fade away, and that certainly is starting to happen now. So you're going to see more single file. We're on board Alex Miller on the roll hoop. He runs long in 5th. So you're going to see more single file. You're also going to see guys spread out, looking for that clean air. The front 3 really have a huge advantage in that regard. Their tires are not going to wear nearly as much because they're up on that high line or the middle line. In the case of Gary Lovern, they're kind of spread out. They're just getting clean air on the wings, maximum downforce, less tire wear. The guys that are going to be suffering, Matt Wagner, Alex Miller, Yari Brubaker on back, they don't have anywhere to go to find clean air, Ryan. Those cars are going to burn up their tires pretty quickly, and if they're not careful, they'll start falling into the clutches of Mark Amini, Mitchum, Wynn, and Peterson. Take a look at a guy like Lith Fox, Ryan. He's dropped back from his high starting spot. There's Lith, and I got to wonder, is a guy like Lith Fox, maybe a Mark Cohn back there, one of these cagey veterans just kind of saving their stuff, knowing that the tires are going to fall away here.
Yeah, and if they're saving their stuff, it might play into their favor, considering that we have yet to see a caution yet, knock on wood. But if we run long and we have green flag stops, being able to stay out longer than everyone else could play into your favor.
100% correct. Do want to point out to Anna Klimek, who is in the chat, there is nothing that Ryan Eric King loves more than a good driven reference, and so I was happy to provide that to him tonight. But that is a fact. It's one of the few places that Chicago Motor Speedway, which is the Milwaukee clone that was in Cicero, Illinois, that's one of the few places that there actually is existing media of that facility is in that movie.
Yeah, because of kart race there, twice at most, I believe.
I was going to say there were 2 champ car races. No, there were 3 champ car races, 3 Atlantic races, and 2 truck races, and a couple of ARCA shows. Cool. And that's it. Chicago Motor Speedway in Cicero, the track that we're talking about, was built as a twin facility. As we kind of look through the field here, everybody's more or less sorted out, single file. Clindy is your leader. He's got Will Stearns right behind him, and Gary Lovren in third. Stearns looks like he might be getting antsy to lead this thing, Ryan.
Yeah, because as the tires heat up, best place to be is in the lead because it's the only position really not affected by dirty air.
Most certainly so. So to bring the final point home about the Chicago Motor Speedway, it was built next to or adjacent to. It was built adjacent to a horse track called Sportsman's Park. Clindy goes high. Lovren dives to the bottom, 3 wide on Will Stearns. That almost looks like to me Clindy's given up the lead, Ryan.
Yeah, it looked like a planned maneuver.
It does. Maybe let Gary Lovren lead a lap. That could be important in the points. Of course, not teammates in the sense of on the same team, but corporate teammates, certainly. The Votive Racing League team of Gary Lovren and the Votive Racing League sponsored driver of Kyle Clinworth. And I'm sure they're in communications there. Lovren in a championship battle. Clindy is not. Clindy might be moving aside to let Lovren maybe lead a lap, but the foil in that plane is going to be Will Stearns. Stearns working a high side, and Will Stearns, he's going to go to the lead instead of Gary Lovren. So there's Will. He leads it, and Alex Miller has very quietly climbed his way up to fourth. He is behind Clindy. Alex Miller looks like he might be trying to go to the front as well. As you watch all the drivers again, Ryan, they're offsetting, trying to keep clean air on those front wings. Alex Miller, though, he looks like he wants to go to the front as well. To put the final point on that, Sportsman's Park was a horse track. They built Chicago Motor Speedway adjacent to it. So it used common facilities, common parking, but they were 2 separate tracks. It wasn't like Dover where the horse track is inside the car track. And it didn't work, did it?
No, and I think it was largely down to proximity to Chicagoland. The fact that you had 2 facilities meant for top flight racing that close to one another, the side that was going to win out was going to be the side owned and operated by NASCAR.
Well, it wasn't originally owned and operated by NASCAR, though, was it? So there were originally 3 partners in the Chicagoland Speedway. ISC, which we mentioned, owned by NASCAR, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Menards were the original 3 investors. Menards quickly went away, and the third investor at the Joliet site became Dale Coyne. And so
the local race team owner.
that's right. And so Dale Coyne had the distinction for about 5 years of owning a track, of being a major partner in a track that ran IndyCar races, while he was owning cars that ran in the Kart and Champ Car series that was its immediate rival. And to hear it told, a lot of Coyne's liquid wealth came from ISC buying out the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Dale Coyne at this facility, because ISC ended that partnership, bought the place out right at the height of the boom. Coyne and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway got paid some pretty decent money. And now, of course, the track sits idle as we watch Clindy go 3 wide through the middle with Miller, and Lover and Clindy back to the lead.
Yeah, he shot like a rocket up through that gap.
You know, I think it was kind of a situation where, Clindy went back. I think he was trying to let Gary Lovern lead a lap as we watched Lovern to the bottom, Wags to the top. Contact there. Everybody's going to get away with it, Ryan. But I think that might have been a situation where he was trying to get, he might have been trying to get Gary Lovern to lead a lap. It didn't work out, so Clindy just said, I think I'll go back and have that lead one more time. The battle is at the front. Everybody behind basically Jari Brubaker is more or less just single filed out. I want to say that there are some fuel savings going on, Ryan. Typically, you can make it about 50 laps on a tank full of fuel. However, we've seen undercuts and overcuts play quite significantly in this series. It would not surprise me to see fuel games going on back in that pack.
Yeah, especially with, again, knock on wood, how clean this race has been so far. It's going to come down to that pit stop, and if we do get a caution during the pit cycle, you want to be the last guy to come in because you want to take advantage of the essentially free pit stop.
You most certainly do want to welcome in the prodigy, Indy Kirkenbauer, as he has joined us, a member of that Votive Racing League team, along with Gary Lovern and Mason Mitchum out here. Gary Brubaker, the old pro, has gone to lead. He and Will Stearns are going to continue to race for it. Clindy back to third, Miller fourth, Wagner fifth. I was running the numbers, Ryan. Assuming it's 100% fuel, the window opens at lap 45. So lap 45 is the opening to the window. Theoretically, if you lean one of these things out, you can make it, 55 laps maybe here in the draft?
Yeah, in the draft, and you're really running lean trying to save.
Absolutely, and most certainly so. And just like that, 34 laps down, we're going to start lap 35. Do want to thank everybody for joining in here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. You are watching the Horizon IndyCar Series from the Chicagoland Speedway here in iRacing. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts just like this one later on tonight. I believe we have a doubleheader. Gary Gonzo is going to have the Formula Indy Series over on the Dueling Stream, Ryan. That series, I don't think I could make it in that situation, Rec. Formula One rules in Indy cars, I don't know about that. They're off tonight, by the way, so it's just their next race will be November 5th at Portland, so they are off. That's why Clindy's here. He's actually been running the entire slate over there. I don't know if I could do Formula One rules in an IndyCar wreck. It's road courses. You got to turn right. That's a recipe for a disaster if you put Murph behind the wheel.
Nah, just make sure you're always the first guy at the apex and you're cool.
I'm sure Caleb Binsey and the boys would wave every time they laughed at me, right? Try to race with Binsey and that crew. You'll get humbled pretty quick. Matty Wagner has gone to the lead over Clindy and Will Stearns. They form the top three. Alex Miller still hanging around that fourth spot, and Yari Brubaker went from the lead back to fifth at the drop of the hat. And look at Lith Fox. Lith Fox has pulled himself up into the sixth spot. Matthias Marcamini is seventh. So those two cars have been moving toward the front. Lith Fox, Ryan, he started sixth. He was last at one point in this race, or close enough to it, 12th. So he went to the back, and now he's pulled himself back toward the front. Again, I think I think it could be, one of those lessons learned type things for Lith Fox. He was in that Sim Gaming Expo series of races with me, and that was one of the first runs after the new build in the car, if you remember right, Ryan. And the tires just wore out. At the end of that race, I had to start last because it was single session qualifying. Will Stearns has come into the pit lane, so he is already making his stop. There's Will. He gets it onto the pit lane, and he's got the black flag too fast entering the pit lane. And for Will Stearns, that's pretty much going to put paid to his day, and here it is. No, it's unsafe entry, Ryan. They're going to tag him for unsafe entry there. He went around the cone. Either way, it's a 40-second hold, and that's... Yeah, it is. It's a 40-second hold, and any way you cut it, Will Stearns' night is in jeopardy here. He's going to lose, 2 laps on that racket, Ryan?
Yep, 2 laps minimum.
He's still under the hold. They have not started work on his car yet. There is the second lap down. He's going to wind up 3 laps down out of this. Matt Wagner has run away from this battle for second. This is Alex Miller on the high side, Clindy on the bottom. Yari Brubaker runs an interested fourth now. And you got to wonder if maybe Clindy abused those tires making some of those moves. And I think he's coming for the pit lane. So Clindy has had enough. He is going to make his pit stop. Will Stearns remains on the pit lane under penalty. He is now 3 laps in arrears, and there's Clindy. He's really the first of the serious bidders to make his stop, other than Stearns, who again penalized. But this is right at the open of the window, Ryan. 44 laps. Brubaker now down the pit lane, along with Wagner.
Oh, and you have another driver who missed the entry. Yari missed it.
That would be big news. He does not have a black flag, though. He spun the car out. So here you go. Watch how tight this is. Fronts locked, fronts locked, fronts locked. He comes to a stop, realizes his mistake, and drives back inside the cone, Ryan. That's how Yari Brubaker avoided the penalty. Alex Miller is now your leader, and he's determined to run it long. The top 6 are still out there, and Ryan, if you're still out there, my thought is you're going to run it dry. Is that yours as well?
Yeah, to the point where you're gonna likely coast it down pit road.
Well, just as we say that, Alex Miller pulls his car down the pit lane. That leaves Lith Fox, Frank Wynn, Eric Peterson, and Nate Fields as the only machines still out there. And they are more or less, the front 3 are right together. Nate Fields is a couple of seconds behind them, 1.5 seconds behind them. Here comes Lith Fox. And I think the reason they're coming, Ryan, those cars have got to be hurting in terms of grip. And Lith Fox, too fast entering for Lith Fox, and that is everybody that would have come to the pit lane. Alex Miller is coming off. There goes Matt Wagner. So Miller is going to slot into second, and they have a massive lead over Surwack, Marcamini, Clinworth, and Lover. And there's that knot of 4. These guys are big time behind Matt Wagner, who is going to assume the lead here, Ryan.
Yep, and it is a big one at that. It is hard to see the the pack of the other contenders about a quarter of the lap behind.
Yeah, there they are. They're 9 seconds. Well, they're going to be about 5 seconds behind Wagner. Frank Wynn has just come off a pit road. Frankie is going to surrender the lead to Matty Wagner, and that's a new paint job for Frank Wynn. We're gonna let's get a zoom in on that car. Rocking some new colors, Frankie Wynn. But what a great series for Matty Wagner. He pulls out. He's got a 0.6 of a second lead on Alex Miller, but then the Frank Wynn, Kyle Clinworth, Frank Wynn is blended in with that group, by the way. You can kind of see it. They are outside of the draft window, Ryan. That's 1.8 seconds behind Alex Miller.
Yeah, and I want to say that this pack could close the gap up to Wags, but they're slowly chipping away. But I don't think if they need to keep this progress going for about 10 more laps and they can get there.
Well, they've picked up a second in the last 3 laps. The issue is how much are you hurting the tires if you're Frank Wynn back there leading that train. The good news for Frankie Wynn is he's got a tire advantage. We'll go ahead and pop the stint time up here. Alex Miller 5-lap old tires, Wags 7, Wynn 3, Clindy 8-lap old tires. He may be in some trouble there, Ryan, as we get down to the end of this run. Of course, we would anticipate that he would stop lap 88, 89. He's on that schedule. Same for most of the field, including Wags.
Now, I don't know if you're...
There was contact. There was contact. Clinworth does not have a front wing. He is off and smacks the outside wall, and we need to go back and figure out what happened to Clindy here.
He lost it. He made contact with Wagner as he passed him.
Yeah, let's see what we can see here. Here's Clinworth. He is behind Matty Wagner. And this could be just something as simple as a misjudgment, Ryan. He's going to pull out to pass. And yes, it was. He just left the move to the bottom too late. And the right front wing main plane gets ripped off of the number 11 machine. And Clindy is going to be hurting for pace. He's going to try to stay out there and nurse it, Ryan, but he needs a caution.
Yeah, he needs a caution. I would have just come in immediately.
Well, if he makes, yeah, he's going to pull it in now. I think he's decided that car is 3 seconds off the pace. I think he's decided he just can't live with it anymore. Now, the question for Clindy is going to be, the front wing is what, 5 seconds in the pit lane? But did he bend any tie rods or toe links when he smacked the fence like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm more concerned about, because you don't want that stuff to be any longer than it needs to be.
Well, he used his fast repair, so he's already saying, look, the damage was more extensive. If you're using the fast repair, the damage is more extensive than just a front wing. You wouldn't burn it for just that. Back at the front of the field, Alex Miller has now fallen into the clutches of Gary Lovern. Frank Wynn runs third, Matt Wagner fourth, Andrew Surwack is fifth. Got a great crowd on hand here, Ryan. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts just like this one. We are 58 laps of 133 already at Chicagoland, and that's the great thing about one of these races, Ryan. Knock on wood. Did you hear that, Ryan? I'm knocking.
Yep.
The gun stock oak on the floor comes in handy, baby. Knock on that wood, but these races can go very quickly without a caution. We are nearing halfway.
Oh yeah, you're right. We're nearing halfway, and we're just soaring. Like, besides the couple of incidents we've had, as well as the penalties, we still have a large group of cars in this lead pack.
Yeah, you most certainly do. They are pretty much all there, with the exception of Turner Johnson, Mason Mitchum, and Joseph Morales. They have lost the lead draft, as has VH Car. Clindy is a lap down. So too Lith Fox with the penalty, and Will Stearns 2 laps down with the penalty. Do want to welcome Ryan O'Donoghue into the chat. Ryan is one of those AMA competitors. Ryan, he's moonlighted driving an IndyCar at certain points with the Onyx Racing League. It'd be a lot of fun to see Ryan in one of these cars. That's a handy driver. So, have I told you about Ryan O'Donoghue's tongue-in-cheek making fun of me, Ryan?
No, I haven't.
So Ryan O'Donoghue, you know how I went through a spot with my racing where I wound up upside down quite a bit?
Yes.
And so Andrew Wood, after every race that I got upside down in, the famous Wood would send me a message and tell me I wasn't supposed to do that. And so I would get a screenshot of every time my car was upside down. And there was a race in Area 51 where somehow in practice I wound up upside down and stuck in the Sunoco sign at the entrance of Pit Road at Old Atlanta. And somehow that screenshot made its way back to me. It made it to Ryan O'Donoghue, and he has framed it and put it next to his rig as an example of what not to do, Ryan.
Oh, no.
Stuck in the Sunoco sign. That took talent. I still have no idea how that happened, by the way. I mean, I do. There was an accident in front of me. I zigged what I should have zagged. The car got airborne and backward, and, well, you know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
It's not as good as Brendan Lichtenberg stuck in the footbridge at Dover, but still pretty funny. Alex Miller leads it. Gary Lovern second. Wagner has now gone to the high side of Frankie Wynn. He's going to challenge for third. Matthias Marcamini has run a very quiet, conservative, and tactical race. Marcamini is now knocking on the door of the top 5 with Andrew Surwack, and you've got the dark horse impresario Eric Peterson. He's 7th, and Mark Cohn has hung on to the lead draft, and he is passing cars now in wholesale fashion. Past Brubaker, past Peterson. Mark Cohn headed up toward the front here on lap 66, coming to get 67. Take a look off the roll bar, Mark Cohn. Tell us what you're seeing right here, Ryan.
Give me 1 second, and basically, if you're sitting in Cohn's car right now, you're just trying to find a place where you can keep your car running that's not directly behind someone because they're just throwing up dirty air. There's no ideal position. You're just trying to find, say, the lesser of two evils.
You are indeed, and so look at Cohn split the difference. The other thing that I'm noticing is that Mark Cohn is lifting a significant amount in these corners. He is not running this car. You would think Chicago would be flat out. Mark Cohn is not running this car flat out at all. He is lifting significantly in the corners, down to 204, 205 miles an hour, just trying to save those tires, and it's working out for him. He's going to go by Frankie Wynn, and he's going to fall in right behind Andrew Surwack. That's another guy, Mark Cohn, that was in that race in Chicago in the live stadium. And I think, you know, a lot of those guys there learned that lesson. We haven't been to Chicagoland in the sim since. And so some of these guys, if you don't, even if you run officials, if you don't run leagues all the time, they may not have driven the new build at this track.
Yeah, and it's going to be a completely different world compared to the previous version, especially with how the tire heats over the course of a run, and you kind of have to adapt to the different grip levels, the temperature, obviously, but it's about keeping the car under you for the most part. Don't overdrive the car. Don't allow yourself to wander up the track and potentially into the wall.
It is. You remember, Ryan, as we watch Mark Cohn battle Frank Wynn, Matt Wagner, Andrew Serwak is in the picture. Alex Miller leads it from Gary Lovern, and they are just right ahead of these drivers. But you kind of remember in the pre-dark times, we went to Kansas in fixed officials, in the official fixed series, which is now the Oval Series, and the tires wore out, and it was absolutely just magnificent racing. You remember that?
Yeah, because I wouldn't say it didn't feel like driving on ice, so to speak, but it felt, the car felt like it got looser over the run in a way that you could manage.
It did. It did. The right rear wore out instead of the right front. You had to drive the car. You had to use your tools. The thing was always kind of loose, and it made a difference as to how you drove it. That's how Chicagoland is now. Kansas is that way too, but now Chicagoland is that way also in these cars. And it's not just the foot-to-the-floor pack race where you can't get off of one another. These guys, yes, they're in a pack, but I assure you that those cars are not at 28 laps through the run. In the case of Mark Cohn, those cars are not driving good anymore. And Cohn has obviously saved his stuff. He's up to third. He's going to hunt down Gary Lover now. Mark Cohn is worth the price of admission here, Ryan.
Yeah, and he's slowly moving his way up through the field, and you could really tell he has an understanding of what the car is going to do.
Most certainly so. It is worth mentioning the track conditions are basically ideal. 70 degrees in the air, 115 on the track, just a breath of wind, a mile an hour, a puff as it were, Ryan. This is just about perfect, but Mark Cohn, forget the weather. He wants the lead.
Yeah, he's side by side with the leader. Oh, dear.
Yeah, and Alex Miller has led a ton of laps. Here he is, the points leader. Mark Cohn does not care. He drives his car right around the outside. Jari Brubaker has lined up behind Cohn. Wagner in that top line. Lovern committed to the bottom. And Alex Miller, but it's not going to matter. Mark Cohn is going to have the lead here at Chicagoland. The Watchman comes across the line, 78 of 133 complete. And Ryan, these drivers are going to have to start thinking about pit stops. Jimmy Coker mentions that Clindy needs a caution. He would be the lucky dog in this scenario, Clindy would. And so that would be his shot to get back onto the leader lap. Alex Miller goes back to the lead. I think Cohn ran up there. He wanted to lead a lap, and now he's satisfied to run along in second. Maybe save some fuel here, Ryan.
Yeah, you might as well take an advantage to save at some point, because everybody's going to have to come in one more time.
They most certainly will, and we expect those pit stops to start really in about anywhere from 8 to 10 laps from now. Lap 88 to 89 is when that window opens, and certainly there are going to be a lot of takers. These tires now anywhere between 31 for Frank Wynn and 35 laps old for Matt Wagner. They're going to be wanting some tires. Kyle Clintworth would love there, and there's Clindy. He is 15th, one lap down. He would love for the entire pit cycle to go through and then a caution hit. Meanwhile, up at the front, Ryan, look at that. Look at these drone shots. Whiplash SimCam's always amazing work. This is from the drone, and look at that pack. It's not all right on top of each other, but you can make moves in there, can't you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's a bit of a scramble. You're gonna be, reaching out and touching a couple cars around you, but you still got room to move, look for a gap, make your way through the field.
Yes, sir, and we've seen it.
I'm just at the edge of my seat.
Well, and Paul Ascori pointed it out. We've seen impressive moves, especially by the likes of Mark Cohn. Yari Brubaker has driven it up through the field as well. We've seen guys come from the back of this train to the front, depending on how well they've managed their stuff. Right now, Alex Miller leads it, and he's been in that lead for most of the afternoon or most of the evening. But Mark Cohn, Gary Lovert, and Yari Brubaker not going anywhere, and neither is Wagner.
Yeah, and it's certainly a case of not holding on to the lead, but keeping yourself in a position where you could take the lead when you need it. Because we all know that you only have to lead one lap to win the race.
Oh, 100%. And a lot of times it's the guy, a lot of times this race is won, we call it a snipe, right, Ryan? Where, the guy drives around the outside, lines up the pass, drives around the outside of the leader, wins the race. And the only lap you lead is the last one, and you don't lead it by all that much. Riding on board with Matty Wagner here as he looks over the top 5, 2x2 in front of him. Still battling for that lead. Mark Cohn goes to the outside. He swings it wide on Alex Miller one more time. That is the most advantageous place to be on the tires, though, is out front, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, you don't have to deal with the wake of anyone in front of you. You could not use all the track, but as much as you need to arc the car in, not put as much force through the tires as you need. Just really kind of ease your way through the race.
Yes, indeed. Looking at Cohn as he goes to the outside of Alex Miller one more time. We are now in the window, so pit stops are available. You can make it to the end from here, Ryan. Is this one of those, they can go another 7 laps or so? Is this one of those where you run it long, or are you going to come and get tires as soon as you can?
I think in terms of wanting to finish strong, you stay out as long as you can.
There you go. Look at Matthias Marcamini now. Marcamini coming to the top. Will Stearns has made his final pit stop. Will 4 laps down. It's hard to say. If I was Alex Miller, I'm going to stay out as long as I can, right? If I'm Alex Miller, I'm going to run that thing, because if you're leading it, if you're Alex Miller, Mark Cohn, if you've been up front for the balance of this run, your tires are in the best position, right?
Miller just called it. He's coming in.
Yes, he is. I'd also like to point out that you see the magenta and silver chrome machine riding right along the top, in and out of the picture, pulling up on the back of Yari Brubaker as Miller pits. That's Clindy. Clindy wants to get his lap back the hard way, Ryan.
Yeah, with how clean the race has been so far, it's the only way he's going to be able to get his lap back.
Well, so the fun part is Clindy has about 11 laps on fuel on these guys. So when Cohn pits, so Cohn's going to pit here. Same with Brubaker. These guys are going to come to pit lane. You see Mitchum and Turner Johnson come to the pit lane as well, the VRL cars. They're in. When these guys pit, Clindy's going to stay out. And his hope is they get a yellow light somewhere between now and about lap 105 is about as far as he can make it. So that's Clindy's hope.
If caution happens in that window, he's automatically on the lead lap. He doesn't even need the lucky dog.
He doesn't. Well, for a few laps, he's going to have half the field a lap down.
Yeah.
So, a fortuitous yellow could still swing this way in Kyle Clinworth's favor. That's what he's kind of banking on. We're watching Andrew Surwack. He is nominally your leader, and Surwack has pulled out quite a bit of an advantage, about 0.6 of a second over Frank Wynn. Nate Fields, they're all 0.7 of a second behind each other. Lith Fox coming off of pit road. In the background, you've got Joseph Morales a couple of seconds back. And then Gary Lovern has taken to the pit lane along with Eric Peterson. So those drivers are still out. Surwack going to come in. Frank Wynn is going to go for one more turn around Chicagoland. Joseph Morales is also still. I can give a call out to Joseph Morales. Run along behind Lith Fox and that number 60. Morales is having himself a fine night too, Ryan.
Yeah, a good night so far, but we can quickly see, again, knock on wood, we hadn't had a crash yet, and generally in these races, in these pack races, if you have a crash, typically it's more than one car going out.
That is very true. Frankie Wynn is going to be the long runner. Wynn is the only automobile that has not pitted, and he is going to do so now. He had pulled, I think he was using Kyle Clinworth just as a drafting tool. Those two cars were running extremely quick laps, and that is going to give the lead here to Clindy. Here he is along the back straight, Kyle Clinworth, through turns 3 and 4. Now, he's going to have to pit in about 8 more laps, Ryan. So he is hoping for something. He is hoping for a yellow to get to wave over the speedway before we get to 30 laps to go. Otherwise, his race is going to be toast. But for right now, Clindy is your leader. And he's coming to pit lane now, Ryan.
Yep, I guess you might as well call it in early.
Maybe he had less fuel than we thought. The VRL machine, Kyle Clinworth, is coming to the pit lane, and that's going to hand the lead over to this man, Andrew Surwack, and he immediately is under fire from Alex Miller. Miller led coming into that pit cycle. Surwack came out with it, and there is a mess behind them, Ryan.
Yeah, we're quickly approaching closing stages of this race. Anyone with inside of the lead, they're getting the red mist out. They want the win.
They do indeed. So let's kind of set the scene here for you. This is the lead pack. From the back in 8th spot, you've got the red and white silver machine of Gary Lovern. The teal and black car is Matthias Marcamini. He is 7th. Mark Cohn, the blue and white 39, the familiar colors for the Californian. He is 6th. Matt Wagner runs in front of him. Wags in the white with black and red trim horizon entry. Trouble! It's Clindy and Alex Miller.
Clindy's tumbling down the back straight.
There is a caution on the racetrack. Kyle Clinworth has gone for a wild ride here. Caution is on the speedway. He got the caution, Ryan, but it wasn't how he wanted to get it. Here he is. He's come out behind Surwack and next to Miller. That just looks like two cars almost got glued together, Ryan. And watch this. Clindy up and over and still tumbling. There are parts going to the moon. Now that does look like something out of the movie Driven. Clindy pirouettes. There's the stop on the back. He's going to get a knock on the front. Still going. Lands it on all fours. 7's all the way around in a 6.75 from the East German judge. Clindy is now out of fast repairs, and he is going to be out of the race. Alex Miller is going to should be bringing his car to pit lane with that damaged side pod. He's still got a fast repair, but Miller does not bring his car down the pit road.
Yeah, that is strange.
It is strange indeed. Here's the automobile for Alex Miller, and it is clearly damaged on that left side pod for the number 49 machine, and he is the points leader. Cartwheels for Clindy. That sounds like a telethon that we should have in his honor. Cartwheels for Clindy.
Yeah, we need to host a benefit to fund his trip to the infield care center.
Oh my goodness! But there's the other vehicle involved. That's Alex Miller, and Miller. That's pretty severe damage on the side of that car, Ryan.
Yeah, you could see his engine. You could see his engine.
Yeah, let's get another. Let's get to see if we can get another view of it. There, you see the side pod flapping. The bronze bit that you see down there. That's the headers coming out of the bottom of that. That turbocharged V6 engine in there. You can see the exhaust chimneys. That is askew. And so now he's going to bring it into the pit lane. He might not have thought he had damage, and now he's been watching the broadcast. No real big deal for Miller. He's going to come down and take his fast repair, and so that will leave an interesting situationship here to decide this one. We are 30 laps to go here at Chicagoland in the Horizon IndyCar Series. Andrew Surwack leads it. Frank Wynn, Yari Brubaker, Mark Cohn, Gary Lovern round out your top five. Matthias Marcamini is sixth. Joseph Morales is seventh. Those cars did not stop, Ryan. And how do you like the strategy from Mason Mitchum, Matt Wagner, Turner Johnson, Eric Peterson, and Nate Fields to come on and get you four fresh Mr. Feelgoods? Alex Miller is going to be on fresh tires. VH Carr, the wave around. He'll have a chance to pit his car. This is about to get fun.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you're probably going to need a fresh set to win this one.
You might, but you're going to have to fight your way through, Wreck. You're going to have to fight your way through a hornet's nest and some hungry drivers to get there. The pace car is getting ready to duck on off. Barney has the green flag in hand. Andrew Surwack has the lead. And we are going to get back underway from Chicago. 29 laps to go here in the Horizon IndyCar Series. Chicagoland 200. Everybody got single file pretty quick. Joseph Morales, by the way, Ryan, did not fire off very well. He is already being passed by Lith Fox. Lith wants to get up there and get his lap back. But Mason Mitchum and Matt Wagner, they're going to be anxious to get past that number 60 machine and get on up there so that they can use those fresh tires. Morales is the first car on newer rubber. His are 9 laps old. Mason Mitchum is the first car on sticker tires, and that's Mitchum up to the high side of Morales. This will be for 7th spot. Meanwhile, Mark Cohn has gone back to 2nd, and Cohn is now lining up Andrew Surwack for the lead, Ryan Eric King.
And yeah, we're already seeing some aggressive moves out front. People want the lead, and they want it now. It doesn't matter that we have over 20 laps to go.
It doesn't. And it's one of those things where this race, just like Michigan or Fontana, you'll see guys ride around. You'll see, everybody just kind of wants to put themselves in position for showtime. It comes a little bit sooner at 1.5 miles. So usually at Michigan or Fontana, we say showtime is 10 laps to go. Here, they're going to start getting busy with about 15 to go, just because shorter distance, it takes a little bit longer to build your runs. Mark Cohn, though, he's not waiting for that. He's going to try to get to the lead, and he's going to try to get to the lead now, and Frankie Wynn is going to try to move his car up to the high side. Can't quite make it work.
Give me a second. I heard some crunching body work.
Well, and I didn't see anybody hit anything, Ryan, and it could just be that that's net code. These cars go so fast, and the high groove, you are essentially a foot off the wall. Oh, there's a car slow on the back. It's Mason Mitchum. Mason Mitchum is slow at the back of this field, and we'll see if maybe it was Mason Mitchum here. Let's see what we can see. This is going to start out.
Yes. So, yeah, on lap 109.
Yeah, we're looking at Mitchum. Lith Fox was also slow. There it is. He gets up in the wall, and then Alex Miller gets into the back of Mason Mitchum. Lith Fox has to slow to take evasive action. So that's the story. And Mitchum very slow on the speedway. The battle remains at the front, and this is rush hour traffic on the Dan Ryan as we come to get 21 to go. Everybody wants the lead now. There's no more saving. Everybody wants to come to the front, and you got to think about, Matt Wagner, Nate Fields on those fresh tires. Eric Peterson's got a fresh set on. Those cars may be in the catbird seat when it comes down to show and tell time, and show and tell time is here.
Yeah, now is the time to tell, because you get to tell everyone whether or not you won this race.
Well, and you've got a lot of these guys. For example, Hugo Gallas is not here. Alex Miller not having a good night. Matty Wagner would love a win to keep his championship hopes alive. Meanwhile, Mark Cohn, he's been on a hot streak lately. He's been running well in the sedan cars. He won a Lotus 79 race in the Onyx Racing League at Botegi last week. He's been on a hot streak. He's been going fast and having a good time. And Mark Cohn is looking all over the back of Andrew Surwack here. Mark Cohn's got a shot to win this race and keep his, just recent hot streak at large going.
Yeah, and it is definitely helping him in the point standings.
It most certainly is. Mark Cohn along the middle line there. Surwack on the bottom. Frankie Wynn trying to build a run up in that third groove. It is so difficult, though, Ryan, to make that work. Just so much extra distance on that top line. And again, unlike Kansas, no progressive banking here.
Yeah, no progressive banking, so there isn't anything to make the running the higher lanes be any more beneficial than running the bottom. So it's really hard to make the maneuver around the outside later in races.
Yes, indeed. That battle continues to rage. Surwack on the bottom. One of the things that Cohn is not doing yet, Ryan, he is not pinning him on that bottom line. Mark Cohn giving plenty of room to Andrew Surwack. As the laps wind down, though, that's something that's going to have to happen. You're almost going to have to run right next to that car on the bottom and force them to burn tires, pinching the car off.
Yeah, force them to burn tires, force the guy on the inside to lift, most importantly.
Yes, indeed. Gary Lovern with the best seat in the house. And let's jump on board Gary Lovern here. Just kind of give you an idea of what Gary's seeing and what he's doing to maybe try to thread his way through 13 laps to go at Chicago.
Yeah, it is certainly getting dicey as everyone from third back, they're running that high line, trying to just gasping for air, gasping for clean air.
Yes, they are. Gary Lovern couldn't make it stick up there. He has fallen back to fifth. Frank Wynn, Yari Brubaker drive on past, and Mark Cohn continues to work that high side. 11 and a half miles to go here at 16 and a half miles to go. I can tell I went to Ball State, can't you, Ryan? Here at Chicago. Coming to get 15 miles left in this one. It is Andrew Surwack leading Mark Cohn. Frank Wynn is coming on the top. They're going to put a lap on the injured machine of Alex Miller. He will stay high. And he's lost his front wing somewhere. One more time. Alex Miller will go a lap down. Now, if you're Surwack, it's fairly straightforward here, isn't it, Ryan? Stay on the bottom. If you're Mark Cohn, you've got to try to build up a run to do what we call the snipe at the line. If you're Frank Wynn, Yari Brubaker, it's how are you planning on winning this thing?
I'd probably try to force a way in the second. Like, just anything to push Mark Cohn off his line and get between Cohn and Surwack.
Yes, indeed. And looking at Cohn, he is starting to press that issue. The other thing, and we'll look off the roll bar of Mark Cohn, that can affect this, the lapped car of Mason Mitchum is up there. And Mason Mitchum is going to have an influence over who wins this race, not because he's going to do anything intentional, but just by virtue of his draft and being there. Wherever Mitchum goes down this straightaway can influence who gets the draft. He's also going to influence dirty air through the corners. Mason Mitchum is going to have a bigger influence here than you would think, Ryan.
Yeah, especially now that we're at this point. What, 5 to go?
We are indeed 5 to go, and that's all there is in difference back to the leaders. Andrew Surwack, Mark Cohn continue to do battle. Frank Wynn continues to be the interested observer. We're going to get 5 to go, and those margins are going to now start to continue. They're going to continue, Ryan, to get ever tighter. Cohn, he wasn't anywhere near that seam just a few laps ago. Now he is right on that bottom seam, going through the corners, trying to pinch Andrew Surwack down, force him to burn off those tires.
Yeah, force him to burn the tires. You need to get alongside him now. There's no waiting anymore.
No, there's not, and I don't know that they're going to be close enough for Mason Mitchum to play any sort of a part in this. Looking out the front of Cohn, he's still a little bit far away yet to influence the draft or the dirty air. Mitchum running along at about the same speed as the leaders, and so they are not going to catch him. Mark Cohn, one more time, he'll draw alongside. I'd like to see him build more of a run. The problem is he's not going to be able to duck in and get that run built with the draft, Ryan, because Yari Brubaker is right there, or was, and so it's going to be very difficult for Cohn to build that run. Now, see, what he needs to do, Ryan, is he needs to duck in there. He needs to get in there, use this run, and then pin Surwack down with 3 miles to go. He's not quite close enough to do it, though, Ryan.
No, not close enough.
They're going to come off at turn number 4. Andrew Surwack is looking at Barney with a white flag in hand. One more lap, 1.5 miles here at Chicagoland to decide it. It is Andrew Surwack, your leader. There's Mark Cohn in second, and Frankie Wynn runs along in third. Surwack to the bottom, Cohn in the middle, Wynn on the top. They may get 3 wide here, but let's see if Cohn can make the snipe at the line. I don't think he's close enough, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, not close enough.
Just not enough in the tank for Mark Cohn. He'll come home second. Frank Wynn will be third. And the winner tonight is going to be the number 24 Gatorade machine of Andrew Surowiak. That was a fun race, Ryan.
Yeah, and we only had the one caution.
It's amazing. We started here 1 hour and 5 minutes ago, and we've run 200 miles. That's not anywhere close to a record, but man, that is definitely a lot. That is definitely a quick one.
Yeah.
And so your winner is Andrew Surowiak. Come home second is Mark Cohn. Frank Wynn will round out your podium. Yari Brubaker is fourth. Nate Fields is going to finish off the top five. Gary Lovern, Matthias Marcamini, Turner Johnson, Joseph Morales, and Matty Wagner round out your top 10. In 11th, Eric Peterson. VH Car brings it home 12th. Lith Fox had an issue with speed on pit road. He'll be 13th. Alex Miller, contact late, drops him to 14th. Same for Mason Mitchum in 15th. Will Stearns ran so well early, Ryan. It's a shame to see the unsafe pin entry. Dropped him at 1.4 laps down. He gets back to 2 down. In 16th, Kyle Clinworth had a wild ride through the grass. He is 17th, and Lewis Busa III is 18th out of 18 starters. And we thank you for joining us, Paula. Always wonderful to see you in the crowd supporting Clindy. Just as a reminder, everybody, if you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts, just like this one in the Horizon IndyCar Series. Let's see if we got any drivers in the interview room, Ryan. Maybe. Would help if I could click on the right thing. There's Frank Wynn. Frank, you've got Murph and you've got Ryan Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Loud and clear. Hello. Good to be back.
It is good to see you back in the booth, Frank. You were one of the drivers that ran longest, if memory serves, on your first two stints. You were able to get to the front line, just not quite enough to make that work on the outside. What would you have needed there at the end to maybe get past Cohn or even Andrew there as we came down to the final laps? What did you need to make that work?
Well, I was hoping. I did see that we were catching one of the lappers that recently left the pit, so I was hoping that we were going to catch the lapper, and perhaps I'd use them as a pick, or as use their car's draft to try and slingshot and get clear of the two cars I was fighting with. But unfortunately, we fought the battling between the top two and myself. It slowed us down enough, or the lap car had fresher tires than we did, and they just started pulling away ever so slightly when we were no longer in their draft. So that went out the window. That plan went out the window. And I was trying to attempt in the final lap there to perhaps make a dive onto the apron to get on the inside of at least one of those cars, but I didn't get a good enough run off of 4 to make that really possible. So I guess, with the way to set up this track and the conditions were today, it seemed like if you had that white line pinned with your car there, you're pretty much set. And, especially that late race caution certainly pretty much leveled the playing field, so to speak, for everyone. I was hoping that caution didn't come out because I was interested in seeing how everyone's fuel strategies were going to play out, since, as you mentioned, I did stay out, I believe. I did stay out the longest, I believe, on both of those two fuel stints. And I was hoping with me being able to push map one all the way to the end that it helped me get across the line there in first. But it didn't turn out that way. But that's how racing is sometimes. I'm still happy with P3. Glad to get my new primary sponsor, PlayAsia.com, some camera time and get it on the podium in the first race in my new colors.
Yeah, I was going to say before Ryan takes it away, I almost didn't recognize you. It took a minute. That is a good-looking hot rod, by the way, and you most certainly did give them quite a bit of TV time. Ryan, what do you have for Frankie this evening?
Well, Frank, I did just like to ask, like, what was the tire wear like? Because obviously you had longer runs out there than anyone else, so you got to see the full uh the full length of what a tire goes through in terms of wear.
Yeah, the tires felt fine for me. I did, of course, keep the tire wear, tire life in mind throughout my two stints. When I was in the mid pack in the first stint, definitely I was lifting in the corners. I was using the tools, trying to keep the rights balanced and within good temp range. But yeah, at the end, they felt fine to me. The caution helped when we took away like 4 or 5 laps of hard running. And like I said, the caution pretty much leveled the playing field in terms of everyone's tire life as well. So for me, it felt fine at the end there. Definitely in dirty air, you do have to like manage the tires a bit more, be mindful of your tools and your throttle inputs. But I had no issues with that.
Well, there you go, Frankie, and thank you so much for stopping in. Congratulations on the new sponsorship, by the way. That is a pretty awesome looking car. As always, you get on the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Oh, of course. First of all, want to shout out my new primary sponsor, of course, as I mentioned before, PlayAsia.com. If you're interested in any anime goods, figurines, clothing, doodads, vinyl, soundtracks of video games, Japanese imports, PlayAsia.com has you covered. Want to shout out my fans in my Twitch stream chat. Glad to have you all watching me do my thing. I hope it was an entertaining race for y'all. I want to shout out my teammate, Liff Fox. Unfortunately, he had an unlucky race. He got a pit speeding penalty, I believe, on one of his stops, which took him out of contention. And also want to shout out Alex Miller, who was on comms with me and Liff for this race. Nice to have an extra voice, extra head to bounce ideas off of. And of course, my livery maker, the person responsible for the new paint scheme, my teammate, another teammate from Mirai United VRT, actually, Sam Winton. He did an excellent job bringing to life what I wanted and integrating the new sponsor of my colors. And I basically transplanted this paint scheme over from a paint scheme he made for me for the Indy NXT car. I am competing in the qualifying series, and I'm 24th, I believe, right now in the standings. So on the cusp of making it. Probably the closest I'll ever be this season, but it's nice to be up there. But yeah, shout out to Sam Winton. He did an excellent job, and I'm very happy with how it looked and how it turned out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Frank. Hide it from us to everybody on your stream as well. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thanks. Hope to see y'all again soon.
Absolutely. That is Frank Wynn. He runs third tonight. In second place, it's got to be a happy night, but also a wonder of what might have been. Mark Cohn, you've got Murph, you've got Ryan Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. Talk to us about your run up to the front of the field. You led, you challenged for the lead, and spent most of the night in either one of those two places. What do you think? What? First of all, I know you're happy because you've been running really good lately. But what do you think you needed to go different to have the roles reversed and you have the bottom instead of Andrew?
Well, first off, where the hell did that come from? I'm not supposed to run that good in these cars.
Well, you did.
And honestly, Andrew had the position, and I never finished in the top three in these cars. And I knew as long as he was holding that bottom lane, it was just unless I did like a 0 percentage move, that probably would have caused a wreck. The bottom was just so dominant here. My best bet was just to stay on the outside of him and something I like to call Operation Brick Wall. And for these final, gosh, 20, 25 laps, somehow it held on. Frank came so close. He had a lot of momentum, but I was doing everything I could to get us that top two, and it just worked.
Ryan?
Yeah, how was it, throughout the race, like trying to move your way up the field and get into position to be in a fight for the win?
Well, on the first run, I was saving fuel and my tires. I guess I was just in too much dirty air because I couldn't do anything. Then I started to get some clean air and got towards the front, and I was like, maybe there might be something here. And that final stop, I thought that I could have saved more fuel. I probably should have because it clearly worked out for Andrew as he came out in front of everyone. But even then, I was just in the right point where I was able to be in the front. So I'm very pleased with the second place.
Yeah, it definitely worked out well.
Yes, it most certainly did. And Mark, we don't get to talk to you very often up here, and so thank you so much for stopping by. I think this is the first time that I've actually interviewed you in an official capacity, and as such, when you finish on the podium here on P1, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours. Go ahead, Watchman.
Well, first off, all you guys at P1, I love watching these broadcasts back, and I've told Gary God so many times, you guys make me look good, and tonight you most certainly did. Matt at the Matt who Wagner who runs Horizon. Congratulations to Andrew. He did a fantastic job tonight. Sim Gaming Expo, Murph, we were both there. It was absolutely amazing. It's coming back next year. Thank you, George and Zaldo, for all of his support. Sim Lab, I've been using their cockpit since 2019. I'm probably going to be buried in this thing. It's that good. Check out their equipment. Nizumi Studios, Sam Maxwell Customs, DeWars Taffies and Fine Shoes. I'm sure there's a lot of people I'm forgetting, but just thank you to everyone that supported me along the way. This is so much fun, and I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Well, we're grateful to have you, Mark, and thank you so much for stopping in. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. That is Mark Cohn. And the winner this evening is none other than the number 24 of Andrew Serwack. Andrew, you've got Murph. You've got Ryan Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got the bottom. You held it. Was there ever a worry that Cohn was going to be able to drive past you, or maybe Frank Wynn load something up from the far outside as they got down to the end? Andrew, you there?
Oh, yep. I got you guys now.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I mean, there was definitely a little bit of worry, more from Frank, because if you just load up just the right amount of run and take it to the inside before the leader can get there, down on the apron, you can possibly make a pass for the win there. I wasn't too concerned about Mark there at the end, but it was more or less just try avoid making contact with him as much as I possibly can there. It was just not a whole lot of worry, just trying to not make any mistake hitting the apron or anything like that.
Absolutely. Mr. Ryan Eric King, what do you have for our winner this evening?
Yeah, so you talked about, holding on to the bottom uh to keep the lead and take home the win. What was it like in terms of not only getting to the not only holding the lead but getting there? Because it seemed like up until a certain point, people found it not easy, but there was a certain ease to making your way up to the front and getting the lead, but it just suddenly just stopped the moment we had that last caution and everyone's fighting for the lead.
Yeah, what got me there was Clendy had went a lap down and he pitted, and he made his way up to the front of the field, and I had saved so much more fuel than everyone else. I was able to go an extra 4 or 5 laps, so I just was able to just draft behind him, and it pulled me way ahead of everyone else after the pit cycle. So from there, I knew that you couldn't pass on the outside here once you had the lead. Just the way the setup, just the way the setup I made for this race worked. Not intentionally, but just how it was with the conditions out there today. So it was just from there, just don't make mistakes and just be able to be able to finish strong and get the win.
Well, the win you did get, Andrew, and thank you so much for stopping in and stopping by. You win the race, you get the mic, brother. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
Just again, a shout out to my wife Emily and her great support for me. Yeah, other than that, thank you guys for putting this broadcast on. Really appreciate you guys getting us out there as well.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping in, Andrew. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy.
Yep, thank you guys.
Yes, sir. That is Andrew Surowiec. He is tonight's winner. And Ryan, we had kind of an interesting deal. It was a pack race that wasn't really packy. It was a tire race that tires really wound up not mattering in the end. But above all else, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. It is very rare that we get through a race with essentially only one caution. It shows that you can have exciting pack racing without, a massive wreck taking out the entire field.
Yes, indeed. And look, I mean, full marks to these drivers because they absolutely executed what can and sometimes does turn into a very long evening at one of these. We got done here in an hour and 10 minutes. And so thank you to all of the Horizon IndyCar Series drivers. If you want to see more of this, we are going to be back in 1 week's time from the Iowa Speedway. And then that's November 5th. And then on November 19th, we are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the finale. We would like to thank all of the series sponsors, 40 Racewear and The Joy of Driving. And we do want to thank all of the fans for tuning in tonight. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing action. Along with the drivers and the fans, we do want to thank all the people that really make this possible, and that would be the first responders, the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that drive the ambulance, and above all, Ryan, the nurse that unloads you when they get you there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. For tonight, so long, everybody, and we will see you at the next one.